everything changes the moment they realize Lord John isn't just missing. He's running out of time. And what makes this worse, this isn't just another rescue. This is the one moment that could either bring Jamie and William back together or destroy whatever is left between them forever. The tension doesn't build slowly anymore, it hits all at once. After everything that has already happened, the situation surrounding Lord John suddenly becomes the center of everything, and you can feel that urgency in every moment. What started as uncertainty quickly turns into something much darker. The bruises, the silence, the way his absence is felt, it all points to one thing. This isn't a misunderstanding, this is a calculated move, and whoever is behind it knows exactly what they're doing. For Jamie, this isn't just about saving a man. It's about saving someone who, despite all the complicated history, has stood by him in ways that few others ever have. There's a weight to that realization. You can see it in the way his focus sharpens. There's no hesitation anymore, no internal conflict holding him back. Whatever differences existed before are pushed aside because, right now, none of it matters if Lord John doesn't make it out alive. And then there's William. His emotional journey here is just as important, maybe even more. Up until now, he's been caught between anger and confusion, struggling to process everything he's learned about his past and his connection to Jamie. That internal conflict has shaped every decision he's made. But this situation forces him to see things differently. When someone you care about is in danger, the walls you've built don't feel as strong anymore. This is where things start to shift. Instead of reacting with anger, William begins to act with purpose. And that's a big change. He's no longer trying to prove something or push Jamie away. He's focused on the same goal now: finding Lord John. That shared mission creates a connection between them that hasn't really existed before, at least not in a real, honest way. At the same time, the danger surrounding Lord John keeps growing. Whoever took him didn't do it without a reason, and the longer he stays in their control, the worse things could get. There's a sense that time is slipping away, and that pressure starts to shape every decision Jamie and William make. They can't afford mistakes. They can't afford delays. What makes this even more intense is the uncertainty. They don't know exactly where he is, they don't know who they can trust. And in a situation like this, even the smallest wrong move could make things worse. That's what keeps the tension high. There's no clear path forward, only risks. And then there's Percy. His involvement adds another layer to everything. He's not just a simple ally or enemy. His feelings, his past with Lord John, and the choices he's already made put him in a complicated position. You can feel that he's not entirely comfortable with how things have played out, and that opens the door for something unexpected. If Percy decides to help, even in a small way, he could change everything. He might be the one person who knows just enough to point Jamie and William in the right direction, but trusting him isn't easy. There's too much uncertainty, too much risk. And yet, in situations like this, sometimes you don't get to choose the perfect ally. You work with what you have. As all of this unfolds, the emotional stakes keep rising. This isn't just about action or suspense. It's about relationships being tested under pressure. Jamie and William are being pushed into a situation where they have to rely on each other, whether they're ready for that or not. And that's where the real tension lies. Not just in the rescue, but in what it means for them moving forward. Because if they succeed, it won't just be Lord John who is saved. It could be the first step toward fixing something that has been broken for a long time. But if they fail, the consequences won't just be physical. They'll be emotional, lasting, and impossible to ignore. And right now, with everything pointing toward danger, failure feels like a very real possibility. The deeper Jamie and William move into the situation, the clearer it becomes that this isn't just a simple rescue. It's a race against time where every second matters. The uncertainty around Lord John's condition starts to weigh heavily on both of them, even if neither fully says it out loud. There's a growing fear that by the time they reach him, it might already be too late. And that fear quietly pushes them to act faster, think sharper, and take risks they normally wouldn't. What makes this journey even more intense is the silence between Jamie and William. It's not the same kind of silence from before, the one filled with anger and distance. This time, it's heavier, more complicated. There are things both of them want to say, things that have been building for a long time, but neither knows how to start. And in the middle of all this chaos, they don't have the luxury of stopping to figure it out. But even without words, something is shifting. There are small moments, quick glances, unspoken understanding, decisions made without argument that show they are beginning to trust each other, even if they're not ready to admit it. And in a situation like this, that kind of trust can mean the difference between success and failure. At the same time, the danger surrounding Lord John becomes more real with every passing moment. The people holding him aren't careless. They're calculated, controlled, and clearly prepared for the possibility that someone might come looking. That alone raises the stakes. This isn't just about finding him, it's about getting him out without triggering something worse. And that's where things start to feel unpredictable. Because the closer Jamie and William get, the more it feels like they're walking into something bigger than they expected. There are signs, subtle at first, but impossible to ignore, that this situation might be part of a larger plan. Something that goes beyond Lord John himself. And then Percy steps further into the picture. Up until now, his role has been uncertain, almost suspicious. But as more details begin to surface, it becomes clear that Percy knows more than he's been saying. The way he reacts, the hesitation in his voice, the careful way he chooses his words, it all points to someone who is caught between two sides. This is where the tension around him really builds. Because Jamie doesn't trust him. Not fully. And honestly, he has every reason not to. But at the same time, Percy might be the only person who can help them find Lord John in time. That creates a situation where trust isn't a choice. It's a risk they have to take. And William sees that risk too. But what's interesting is how he responds to it. Instead of immediately rejecting Percy or letting his emotions take over, he starts to think more strategically. He understands what's at stake now. This isn't about pride anymore, it's about results. That shift in William is important. It shows growth. It shows that for the first time, he's starting to approach things the way Jamie would. Focused, controlled, and willing to do whatever it takes to protect the people who matter. As they move forward, the pieces slowly begin to come together. Not completely, but enough to form a direction, enough to give them a chance. And in a situation like this, a chance is all they need. But even with that, the pressure doesn't ease. If anything, it gets worse because now they're not just searching, they're closing in. And when you get that close, the margin for error disappears. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and everything could fall apart. Meanwhile, Lord John's situation continues to hang in the balance. You can almost feel the ticking clock behind everything. The longer he remains out of reach, the more dangerous things become. And there's this underlying sense that he's holding on, but just barely. That's what makes this part of the story so gripping. It's not just about whether they will find him. It's about whether they'll find him in time. And as everything starts to line up for a possible confrontation, one thing becomes clear. This next move will change everything. By the time they finally get close, the tension is almost unbearable. There's no more guessing now, no more theories. Everything they feared is about to become real. The air feels heavier, every step more dangerous, and both Jamie and William know this is the point where things can either go exactly right or completely fall apart. What makes this moment even more powerful is how different they are from when this all started. Earlier, they were divided, emotionally distant, unsure of each other, constantly holding back. But now, standing on the edge of something this serious, that distance doesn't feel as strong anymore. They're not fully healed, not even close, but they are aligned, and that alignment changes everything. There's no need for long conversations or emotional speeches. The understanding between them has become instinctive. A look is enough. A small signal is enough. And in a situation this dangerous, that kind of connection is more powerful than words. At the same time, the reality of Lord John's condition starts to settle in. Everything they've heard, everything they've feared, it all leads to this moment. And there's this quiet, growing realization that he's been holding on through something far worse than they imagined. That realization hits hard, because suddenly, This isn't just about saving him anymore. It's about how much he's already endured, and whether he still has the strength to hold on a little longer. And then the situation explodes into action. There's no clean entry, no perfect plan that unfolds exactly as expected. Things go wrong, fast. The people behind this aren't careless, and they're not easily overpowered. Every move Jamie and William make is met with resistance. It becomes a fight, not just physically, but mentally. Every second forces them to adapt, to react, to push beyond what they thought they were capable of. And this is where their bond is truly tested. Because in the middle of chaos, there's no time to think twice. They have to trust each other completely. If one hesitates, if one doubts the other even for a second, it could cost them everything. But they don't hesitate. And that's the turning point. For the first time, they fight as one. Not as two people with a complicated past, but as a father and son who, despite everything, are connected in a way neither of them can deny anymore. That connection doesn't erase the pain, but it gives them strength, it gives them focus, and it pushes them forward. Somewhere in the middle of all this, Percy makes his choice. Up until now, he's been standing in the gray area, never fully committing to one side. But when it matters most, he steps in. And that decision changes the direction of everything. Whether it's a moment of guilt, loyalty, or something deeper tied to his feelings for Lord John, it doesn't matter. What matters is that he helps, and without that help, things might have ended very differently. Finally, they reach him. And the moment they see Lord John, everything slows down. Because this isn't the strong, composed man they're used to. He's hurt, exhausted, pushed to his limits. The marks of what he's been through are impossible to ignore, and for a brief second, even Jamie, who has seen more than most, feels the weight of it. William feels it too. And in that moment, all the anger, all the confusion, all the emotional walls he built, they don't matter anymore. What matters is that Lord John is still alive. But barely. And that realization hits harder than anything else so far. There's no time to process it fully, though. The danger isn't over. Getting to him was only half the battle. Getting him out is where things become even more unpredictable. Because now, they're not just fighting to win. They're fighting to escape. And with everything already pushed to the edge, it becomes clear that even though they've found him, they're not safe yet. Not even close. Getting out turns out to be just as dangerous as getting in. Maybe even more. The moment they secure Lord John, the entire situation shifts again. He's alive, but he's weak, barely able to stand on his own, and that changes everything about how Jamie and William have to move. This is no longer just a fight. It's a fragile escape where one wrong step could undo everything they've risked so far. You can feel the pressure instantly. Jamie takes control without hesitation, but there's a different kind of urgency in him now. It's not just strategy, it's personal. The way he supports Lord John, the way he refuses to leave even a single detail to chance, shows just how much this rescue means to him. There's history here, deep and complicated. And in this moment, all of it comes to the surface without a single word needing to be said. William, on the other hand, is dealing with something internal again, but it's not the same conflict as before. This time, it's clarity. Seeing Lord John like this changes him. It strips away whatever hesitation he had left. The man who raised him, protected him, and stood by him is now the one who needs saving, and that realization hits hard. There's no confusion anymore about where he stands or what he needs to do. His focus becomes sharp, almost unshakable, and that's where we see his strongest shift yet. He steps up, not as someone trying to prove himself, but as someone who understands responsibility. He watches their surroundings, anticipates danger, and moves with a kind of confidence that wasn't there before. It's subtle, but it's powerful. He's no longer reacting to the situation. He's actively shaping it. Meanwhile, the threat behind them doesn't disappear. If anything, it becomes more aggressive. The people responsible for all of this aren't willing to let them walk away so easily. There's a sense that this rescue has triggered something bigger, something more dangerous. Whether it's pride, revenge, or fear of what Lord John might reveal, they push harder, closing the distance, forcing Jamie and William into decisions that carry real risk. And this is where the tension tightens again, Because now, it's not just about escape, it's about endurance. Lord John can't move quickly. Every second they spend protecting him increases the chance of being caught. And yet, neither Jamie nor William even considers leaving him behind. That option doesn't exist. Not for them. There's a moment, quiet but incredibly powerful, where Lord John tries to speak. It's not a long speech, not some dramatic declaration. It's something simple, something strained, but it carries weight. Enough to remind both Jamie and William that he's still fighting in his own way. And that moment matters because it strengthens their resolve. It reminds them that this isn't over yet, that giving up isn't an option, no matter how difficult things get. At the same time, Percy's role lingers in the background. His choice to help has consequences, and there's a sense that this isn't the end of his story. Whether he fully redeems himself or gets pulled back into the conflict, his actions here will follow him. And depending on how things unfold next, he could either become a valuable ally or a dangerous liability. As they push forward, step by step, the distance between them and safety slowly begins to close. But it never feels guaranteed. That's what keeps the tension alive. Even when it seems like they might make it, there's always that underlying fear that something could still go wrong, that the worst isn't behind them yet. And emotionally, everything is still unresolved. Jamie and William have fought side by side. They've trusted each other in ways they never have before. But the things left unsaid between them haven't disappeared. If anything, they've become more important. Because once this is over, they won't be able to avoid those conversations anymore. And that might be the hardest part of all. Still, as they finally move closer to safety, one thing becomes clear. Lord John has been saved. But the cost of that rescue is only just beginning to unfold. When they finally reach safety, it doesn't feel like a victory, at least not a complete one. Yes, Lord John is alive. Yes, they made it out. But everything that happened on the way there leaves a mark that can't just be ignored or pushed aside. The tension doesn't disappear, it settles. There's a quiet stillness that follows, and in that silence, the weight of everything begins to sink in. For the first time since this all started, there's space to breathe, but also space to feel. And what they feel isn't simple relief, it's something much deeper. Lord John's condition becomes the immediate focus. Even out of danger, it's clear he's been through more than anyone fully understands yet. The physical injuries are only part of it. There's exhaustion in him, a kind of quiet strength that kept him going when he shouldn't have been able to. And seeing him like this affects both Jamie and William in different ways. For Jamie, it's personal in a way he can't hide. There's a sense of guilt there, unspoken, but present. The thought that maybe this could have been prevented, or that he should have acted sooner, lingers in the background. And even though he knows logically that the situation was out of his control, emotions don't follow logic. They stay, they build, and they demand to be faced. But Jamie doesn't break. Instead, he becomes even more grounded, more certain about the people he stands with and the choices he makes moving forward. This experience sharpens him, reminds him of what truly matters, and what he's not willing to lose again. William's reaction, though, is where things really come full circle, because this moment forces him to confront everything he's been avoiding. All the anger, all the confusion about Jamie, all the emotional distance he tried to maintain, it doesn't hold the same power anymore. After everything they've just been through, those feelings feel smaller, less important compared to what they almost lost. And that realization changes him. It doesn't fix everything instantly. It doesn't erase the past. But it opens the door. For the first time, there's a real possibility that William might be ready to see Jamie differently. Not just as a complicated truth in his life, but as someone who stood beside him when it mattered most. And Jamie sees that shift.